everything that any of us will experience in our lives is an opportunity for us to see the world differently. It's an opportunity for us to learn something new, either about ourselves or about God or about both. So I think it's wildly important to take experiences that we have and reflect on them. What does it mean? What do we do with it? How can we learn about God? Because each moment indeed is a gift from God. So there must be something in it that you can learn. In upstate New York, with a group of friends, I was clearing a path in the brush. We had these large gas-powered weed whackers, you know what I'm talking about, that most people use in the clear fence lines. We were clearing large portions of brush out of the way, and one of my friends threw the machine on the ground and screamed and jumped backward. I was going to recreate that for you, and then it occurred to me that it's not really. Yes, it is. He was weed whacking, right? Sweeping just like this with his weed whacker, and he threw it, and I turned around as he was throwing it, and here's what he did. He went, ah! Ah! Just like that. So one might ask, what would possess somebody to throw a piece of lawn equipment and scream? An enormous spider. I mean, this big. Its head. The whole thing was this big. And its legs and it. God, it was gross. Now, here's the point. Something had to be done because the brush had to be cleared and this spider was not apparently scared by weed whackers. So, in all of my bravery, I picked up a weed whacker and I kind of turned it on its side and took it to the back of the spider, hoping to dispose of it. Put us out of our misery, as it were. And I discovered why the rear end of this spider was so large the moment I did that, because as soon as I hit the spider with the piece of lawn equipment, hundreds of tiny little spiders went running all over the place out of it, all up our legs and across the grass. And I made this sound. Yeah. So now we were both making that sound. And I think jumping and like smacking spiders off of us. I took like 3 showers that night. John was bold enough to do some things that nobody else would do. That was true of his entire life. In fact, that's what ended his life. Because John was bold. And John saw his point in life to prepare a way for God, to clear a path in the brush for God. In fact, when he was arrested and questioned, they said, well, in this version he's not arrested. In another gospel version of this story he is arrested, but nonetheless they question him. And they say, who are you? What are you? Why are you making outlandish claims? He said, because, and he quotes the first scripture that we learn in the Old Testament scripture here, and says, I'm the one that scripture is talking about, that is crying in the wilderness, prepare the way of the Lord. John discovered, as I did, that clearing a path in the wilderness is not always an easy journey. And it sometimes carries surprises with it that you might not have wanted to deal with, or you might not have been ready to deal with, but however you deal with it, it's necessary. It works that way in our lives. If we want to be like John, if we want to look at Scripture and say, I'm going to be the one that prepares a way for God in this world, if that's the kind of person you'd like to be, it requires of you a certain amount of heart and courage. Required that of John. Because sometimes you're going to clear a way for God to be in your life, sort of like I was talking about with the kids. If you got to clean your room so you got space, it works that way with God. You got to clear space in your life if you want God in. Sometimes clearing that space will uncover things we don't want to deal with. If we really are clearing a way in our heart, as we talk about in Advent, Jesus being born into our world, if you want Jesus to be born into your life, you have to clear space, and sometimes it reveals things you didn't want to deal with.